Hi everyone, here with Martin. Now, just to introduce, we're going to be doing some videos on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. This first one's going to be talking about Martin, his background, some of the successes he's had in his career, and then we're going to go from there. First things first, Martin, how are you?
Hey, good. How you doing, Jason?
I'm good. I'm good. I know you squeezed in the last little bit of golf this past week. Happy to hear. No, good. Well, hey, I guess let's hop into it. First things first.
Sure.
Want to start with your background. If maybe you want to introduce your first couple jobs, after university or after school that really mattered. Maybe where you grew up as well, just to add a little flavor to it.
I guess quickly grew up in Victoria, and that's prudent. I mean, that's important point at the moment because a lot of the Nubian projects, two of our strongest projects that we have in the portfolio now are in Victoria. Actually, in my home, in my backyard where I grew up. So I grew up in Victoria. Cut my teeth in the geological mining game in Kalgoorlie, one of Australia's biggest mining camps out in Western Australia, and then spent I guess the next 20 years as an entrepreneur, exploration geologist, floating around the Andes, Peru, Ecuador, Argentina, these sorts of areas, and based out of, as well as a little stint in there, I guess, in Africa, but based out of Toronto here. So I'm a geologist by trade, exploration guy. I've done, my previous companies have all been based more or less in South America with opportunities down there. So geologist by trade, and at the moment I'm now residing in Toronto, close to the Toronto Stock Exchange. Our new company is Nubian, obviously, and an entrepreneur at heart.
Good little short intro. I guess the next question, of those, call it adventures, in these different areas, do you want to talk about some of the projects you've been a part of that would matter to people? Any big successes, any finds?
Yeah, I was lucky to be part of a company back in 2010, 2011 when we eventually sold the company to Pan American Silver. But I was lucky to be part of the Aquiline team. We had a very large, undeveloped silver project, silver lead project in the Chubut province of Argentina, arguably one of the biggest projects in the world in the silver business. And we managed to, I guess, sell that back in 2000. I think it was back in December. I think we finished up January of 2011. So that was a good pass. Everybody was happy there, certainly all the shareholders of Aquiline. Moving on from that, it's sort of given me, I guess, a good grounding in silver, especially silver in South America. And from that, right, I identified a new project, which we have in Nubian, actually, called Escalachi, which is in the southern Peruvian copper belt. And, as far as projects are concerned in South America, Escalachi is in the right place where you would like your project to be. And that's in southern Peru and the southern Peruvian silver copper belt. It's a undeveloped, it was a mine at one stage back in the 1970s. It's what we would call an undeveloped, advanced type silver project with silver, lead, zinc. We're happy to have it. It's now with silver prices touching $24, $25. I guess the economics, it's probably, those sort of silver prices have probably skated the economics on side for Escalachi. So look forward to more developments as we move forward on that. It's certainly going to be one of the focuses as well in the company, that and our gold projects in Victoria.
Yeah. No, awesome. I mean, to top into a little bit more details of the company, the one thing that's caught a lot of investors' eyes is obviously Eric Sprott and his investment into the company. Do you want to speak about that a little bit?
Well, we're lucky to have probably the two things. I can't speak for Eric, obviously, but we're lucky to have two things that maybe Mr. Eric Sprott likes, and that's silver in South America in the form of Escalachi, and it's a high-grade silver, undeveloped high-grade silver project. Requires a little bit more drilling, a little bit more permitting and those sorts of things before it can move down the development path. And we also have fossil style projects, I guess you can call them, in Victoria, where we have a project called Fossil East. It's the closest piece of exploration, foreign exploration outside of Kirkland Lake. It's the closest piece of exploration ground to the Fossil mine. I think we sit about 8 to 10 kilometres, maybe 12 kilometres to the east of the actual Fossil mine. Lovely piece of unexplored ground that has what we believe when we look at the geophysics and we look at some of the prior work that's been done by the government and that sort of stuff. You can clearly see some north-south structures running through that project, and that's what you want to see in Victoria. So they'll be the target. They'll be the target once we close that project, and the project should close up here in the next week or two. Once we do that, we'll probably go about more geophysics and then more drill targeting, but that won't take too long. And then perhaps get the drill on the property there towards the latter part of this year, maybe the early part of next year. The other project in Victoria is the Yanduit Gold Mine, which is to the south of Fosterville itself. We sit about 75, maybe 80 kilometres to the south. In Victoria, again, high-grade gold. It's a small little, what we would call a small little mum and pop type operation that it's got mine permits, it's on government land. So we've already done that permitting. We've already gone, or the project has already gone through that process. So we like that aspect of it. We are fully capitalised, and we need to now go to the Yanduit mine, put in a drill program, start start putting some runs on the board in terms of trying to drill some high grade intersections on that project, and maybe leading to putting together some sort of mineral resource in the first half of next year.
That's awesome. Crazy update. Just wanted to unpack one part that there's been a lot of questions. This project, in Australia, people were asking, oh, I thought it was supposed to close, earlier. Obviously, do we want to talk about the Australian kind of COVID climate and maybe the delays?
Yeah, Melbourne, not that it's any excuse or anything like that, but Melbourne, as everybody knows, has been under a hard COVID lockdown, I guess, for the past 3, 4, 5 months. That certainly slowed down the logistics of closing the project and closing that project and closing the Tasmanian projects that we have there in the Yanduit project. That being said, now, as of today, when this interview has been done, Melbourne looks like it's coming out of COVID. So we expect the government to open back up. The two projects we have in Victoria, which is the Fosterville East and the Yanduit project, they both sit about an hour and a half, maybe 100 kilometres north of Melbourne. So they're not really COVID affected in that sense. We can get crews on the ground there. We can get exploration, geophysical, IP, mapping crews, geologists. We can get those guys on the ground, their drilling crews, without too much trouble. So I expect the work programs at Yanduit and certainly at Fosterville East not to be COVID affected as we go forward. And Melbourne's now, as people have seen on the news, is now emerging out of its COVID lockdown.